And I welcome you all to Career Talk, a live webinar for UPSC aspirants organized by The Hindu Zone. The Hindu Zone is a platform which provides guidance and career counseling. Our associated partners are Plutus IAS, Online Fund Market, and the best coaching app. Today we have very special guest with us, Mr. A.K. Saxena, who is a former civil servant, an ex-joint secretary of UPSC, an author, a blogger, a freelancer journalist, and moreover, a mentor for UPSC aspirants. And our another prominent guest is Dr. Vijendra Jha, who is the MPhil and PhD in PSIR from JNU. Dr. Jha has experience working with ICSSR, Government of India, Brown University, USA. He is also an excellent faculty of Plutus IAS. Plutus IAS is ranked as #1 coaching by oureducation.in. I welcome Dr. Vijendra Jha.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. On the behalf of Plutus IAS, I welcome to everyone. We are today going to talk about the personality test, that is the third stage in UPSC. UPSC conduct examination in 3 stages. First is preliminary test. When one passed in preliminary test, then there is a mains examination, and after mains examination, right, there is a interview. We have a great bureaucrat here to talk about interview. Mr. Arun Kumar Saxena. He is former civil servant, ex-joint secretary UPSC, and ex-secretary PESB. Right? Personality test is one of the stages where every student is very nervous, think about what to do, what not to do. It's better that Mr. Arun Kumar Saxena will guide us about. He has experience of 14 years in guiding 6,000 to 7,000 students of UPSC. I request Mr. Arun Kumar Saxena to speak out to guide to the UPSC students about UPSC personality test. Mr. Sir, Arun Saxena, sir.
For introducing me. Good morning, friends. I feel extremely privileged to be in the company of brilliant minds like you. I call you brilliant minds because you have crossed over, as already stated by Dr. Jha, you have crossed 2 important stages, prelims and the mains, which are really formidably competitive. And on the basis of that, you have come up to this stage of interview. Before I get down to serious business, I would like to say a word about some general points which you must keep in mind. As you are all aware that you are going to appear for the personality test. It is actually, in UPSC's parlance, it is called personality test, but in common parlance, we call it interviews. So I will use the word, interchangeably as and when the situation arises. I need not mention that the interviews consist of 275 marks out of a total of 2075 or 2025 rather, which constitutes about 14% of the total. It's a fairly high weightage that is given to the interviews by the Union Public Service Commissions. You would be wondering why UPSC is so serious about interviews, you have already qualified the prelims, you have already qualified the mains, which are very, very important stages. Why this interview? I would like to state in this connection that the UPSC has been mandated by the Government of India to select candidates, the bodies who could be very good material for civil services. And for this purpose, UPSC is a very fastidious body. It is not satisfied easily. It is not satisfied with your performance in the prelims. It's a filtration test, and it is not satisfied with your performance at the mains also. The UPSC wants to analyze the merit order list on the basis of the marks obtained by you in the mains and the interviews. We call it personality test because it's a total test of your personality. Because having been a civil servant myself, I have served the Government of India for almost 36, 37 years. And I wrote the examinations in 1970, when I think none of you was born. And I had the privilege of working in the UPSC at a very crucial stage. And I had the hands-on experience of all the top secret work given by the UPSC, both pre-examinations as well as post-examinations, which includes setting of question papers, valuation of answer books, setting of appointment of examiners, briefing the examiners. So these experiences, it actually inspired me to help as many candidates as possible, to help them. As I stated a little while back, personality test is a holistic assessment of your personality. The UPSC is interested in assessing the level of confidence which you have got, your level of articulation, whether you are able to convey your ideas effectively, and your logical approach, whether you are a I would say good at decision making, because you will be decision makers in due course. And they also watch your mannerisms, your gestures, postures, and of course your answers. I was searching the Google yesterday and I found that there is no maximum limit set by the UPSC in deciding the marks given by a board. But in the year 2012, there was one lady called Miss Zainab Sayyar. She scored 220 marks out of 275, and she was in. There is a limit on lowest marks, and that limit is 20%. Whether you perform well or whether you perform badly, a UPSC board cannot give you less than 20% mark. That is 55. Now, coming to the necessity, the relevance of the interviews. As you are aware, when you appeared for the prelims examinations or the mains examinations, the whole assessment was carried out keeping your total anonymity. You are not, the prelims test booklets are assessed by the optical scanner, You don't know optical scanner doesn't know you. Similarly, the mains examinations, your answers were assessed or evaluated by the examiners who has not seen you, and he has seen only your answers. So your answers is your personality. So far, your test has been conducted in a totally anonymous environment. UPSC is not satisfied with that. They want to see you face to face, because the, it's a kind of रूबरू आपसे मुलाकात करना चाहती है यूपीएससी. और उसके लिए मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा कि because the number of candidates who are selected for the interviews is fairly large. So UPSC has the practice of constituting 8 to 9 boards, and each board is headed by a member of the UPSC, and that chairperson of the board is assisted by 4 advisors. They are called advisors or experts, and 2 of them are more often than not retired civil servants. One may be an academic, and so that's how it is decided. There is no behavioral scientist, there is no psychologist, as the general impression is floated around. It is not correct. There is no psychologist or behavioral scientist who is watching you and briefing the board accordingly. There is no such thing. And the assessment is carried out by the board unanimously on the basis of unanimous decisions. It's not that the chairman alone can decide the marks given to a candidate. The entire board, assesses the performance, holistic performance, including your articulation level, your confidence level, and then they decide about the marks. Subjects, optional subjects which you have already studied and you have appeared in the exams, also the main examinations, are not assessed in the course of interviews, because your knowledge of the optional subjects, general studies, it has already been evaluated by the UPSC. So there is no need to prepare for the interviews giving including your subjects. I was mentioning about this because 90% of the time spent by a civil servant is devoted to articulating your views to your superiors, to your ministers, to your subordinates also. So 90% time is spent on these activities. Very little time is spent on writing. Of course, you have to write notes on file. That is also very important. But then most of the time is spent on communicating your views. I might mention in the passing that if you have opted for electrical engineering or philosophy or psychology or any other, or political science, questions are asked in the interview with reference to the current affairs. They will not ask you something about electrical engineering, barring if there happens to be an advisor who is an electrical engineer or who is a professional. He can ask you certain things. But I have seen people, I have seen the civil services aspirants who prepare for the interviews, they go on, rehashing or revising their knowledge of the optional subjects. It's sheer waste of time. I would request you not to waste your time on your optional subjects. These are not asked. These are not relevant for the interview. Even during the course of your official career, these have no relevance. As I stated a little while back, that UPSC is a very hard taskmaster, and it is required to provide only such candidates, such bodies, such persons to the Union of India who could form good material for civil services. They should be good civil servant. If interviews are not conducted, then UPSC will be less than fair and just. And the result will be that, the officers, the civil servants, will not be able to give their best to the government wherever they serve. Now, this is, I have told you something about the general introduction to the subjects. Now, let me come to the specifics, because my idea is to see that you remain fully motivated. I can understand the amount of nervousness you must be passing through. There is a fear of the unknown, what will happen if you don't get selected. An interview is a very, very important and difficult stage, because you are competing. The first thing that an aspirant who is going to appear for the interview is that he or she must keep himself or herself motivated. Please don't lose your confidence level. This is very often. Before the interviews, you should be fully motivated. Take good diet, stay fit, and you have to be especially concerned about it during this pandemic, corona pandemic. Please take good care of your health, because in case, God forbid, if a person catches an infection, then he will have to pay the price for it, a very heavy price for it. The first thing that one is required to do is to start reading the newspapers. You must read the newspapers regularly, 2 or 3 newspapers, especially the editorial of the newspapers. These days, the trend is that questions are asked by the board which are opinion related, on which you can give your opinion. So they will ask you short questions and they will seek your opinion about it. So opinion related questions are the latest trends in the UPSC. So for that you have to be fully read. Reading is very, very important for you. Reading newspapers, reading magazines, or whatever comes your way. Reading good material is very important, because that will boost your confidence. Second thing is, you must keep on socializing with your friends, with your peers. You must communicate with your friends, dialogue with them. This will help you in overcoming your internal inhibitions, because many of you would be appearing for the interview for the first time, so they'll be completely flabbergasted what to do, what not to do. And I have myself passed through that stage, and I can imagine the butterflies that are inside your stomach. They keep there. You will have goosebumps. These must be avoided. Confidence is something which you can't ignore. So for that purpose, you speak with the friends, discuss various questions with the friends. It's very important. Read the newspapers aloud. Don't read, silently. Read it aloud. It will also boost up your voice, vocal cord also. And I know you have all come out of the universities. You must be using a lot of slangs in the universities. Please avoid using slangs, avoid using cliches, oxymorons, and bombastic words. Some aspirants are in the habit of using bombastic words to impress the board, which is very undesirable. You must speak simple English or Hindi or whatever language you have opted, and don't use Shakespearean or what you call difficult English. It should be simple spoken English. And take the interview very seriously, because I know all of you are coming out of your comfort zone in the universities. You had a very carefree style that you must avoid. You have to take the interview very seriously, and arrogance is something which you must avoid, because many people I have been mentoring, it's something, it is writ large on your face when you try to impress the board, in your anxiety to impress the board, you use wrong words, you tend to be a little pompous, ponderous, cocky. These must be avoided, because this is a part of your personality. If you give an impression that you are a very arrogant person, it will go against you. And don't try to outsmart the board. Be very humble. You are a humble supplicant before them. Don't outsmart them. You may be having differences of opinion with the board, but express it very politely, and don't stick to your. And if you find that your answers was wrong, please admit your mistake. UPSC boards loves honesty of purpose. If your answers are honest, it will be in your favor. I have seen a number of aspirants who had the experience of working in call centers, where you acquire foreign accents, or you have been living abroad, so again you acquire English accent of England or American accent. This must be avoided. You must speak in pure Indian accent. Don't go in for foreign accent. This is not a good sign. Now, coming to I have been given some questionnaire. How to enter the boardroom, board chamber. I would like to mention that when you go to the UPSC, try to reach the UPSC well in advance, 1 hour in advance or whatever. You will be taken around to a central hall, a waiting hall, where you will wait, and the UPSC officials will come and collect your documents. They will check all your documents, and if photographs or whatever has been given to you. So they will take some time in that, and you will also be told about the board in which you are going to appear. You will be asked to get rid of all equipment like your phone, mobile phone, your wristwatch, because it might carry a recorder. So these items are required to be deposited in the central hall, and they'll be giving a token to you so that you can collect it back after completion of interview. As and when your turn comes, you will be first of all asked to sit for 5 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes outside the interview chamber, because the board is mulling through your DEF. You must have all of you must have filled up your DEF detailed application form. So they're all going through your DEF, and when they ask you to come in, you are not supposed to seek the permission of the board. May I come in, sir? This is not necessary, because you will be ushered in by an official of the UPSC. You can at best give a gentle knock to the door. This is necessary, and the board must be informed that you are in. Don't seek permission to enter the interview chamber. This is a wrong practice, because they know that you are coming. And one thing I forgot to mention about the detailed application form, you must take out your detailed application form, read it once, twice, thrice, and see what you have written there. It is very necessary, and generate your own questions as per your perspective, what the board could ask you, because DEF is something, it is a mirror image of your personality. Read it 2-3 times and then jot down the questions from your own angle, from your own perspective. If there is something about your hobbies, you must know what kind of questions they might ask you. So, and similarly about your family. I'm sorry, there was a break for a few seconds or 1 or 2 minutes due to some connectivity problem, which has now been resolved. I was talking to you about the DEF, that you must go to the DEF. It's very important, because there should be no mismatch between what you have written in the DEF and what you are going to answer in the interview. Many aspirants sometimes hide their achievements in the hobbies column, and when they are asked questions about the same hobby, they perform very badly. They do not know it, so they cut a very sorry figure. This mismatch shows that you have not been faithful in writing your DEF. So whatever question is asked to you, if you do not know the answer, first of all, you must be ready to answer every question that is asked to you from the DEF, your hobbies columns, or any other columns. That is very important. And in case you are not able to answer any questions, you should admit that you do not know the answer. It will be better, because as I stated, UPSC expects some honesty from you. They are looking for ethical values, whether you are quick in admitting your mistake or you stick to your wrong answers. So that you must be very careful. I was telling you about the entry into the interview board chamber. I have already told you that you should not seek permission to enter the interview chamber. Just give a gentle knock and then stand by the side of the chair where you are required to sit. And please don't sit unless you are asked to sit. Some people are so nervous or so overconfident that they immediately take the seat. This is a wrong practice. Please wait for the orders of the board. Whenever they ask you, it is quite, they may be testing your patience. They may not ask you even to sit for 2 minutes. What should you do in such a situation? It's a very tricky situation. You should ask the board, sir, may I have my seat? Then they say, yes, of course, by all means, please have your seat. But it's again a part of the interview process. They're watching you whether you get stressed out since you have not been asked to sit. So you should not get stressed out. Wait for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. And if they don't ask you, they are watching you. They are watching your reaction. They're watching the tension on your face. Please don't show that tension on your face. Please seek permission of the board that may I have my seat, sir? Then sit comfortably. And sitting should be very straight. You should have your spine straight. This is very important. Don't lean towards the table. This is also very wrong. Some candidates have a habit of speaking with hands like this. Please never use your hands. Keep your hands or your palm on your thighs and never sit cross-legged. Sit straight like this. Don't sit reclining on the chair also. Sit straight. And when you sit down, then you wish the board. Greeting the board is very important. You must start greeting the board with good morning or good afternoon to the chair. If there are other members who are males, then don't greet them individually. This is very important. Some candidates, out of nervousness or lack of practice, they try to greet each and every member. It is wrong. You have to greet the chairperson, who is, if he is a male, then just have a fleeting look at others also, nodding other members, male members of the board. And if there happens to be a lady member, then greet her also. Good morning, madam. On the reverse side, if the chairperson happens to be a lady, which is quite possible because there are 3 members in the UPSC who could be on your board. So if the lady happens to be a chairperson, then greet the chairperson first. Good morning, madam, or good afternoon, madam. And if there is another lady member, look at her also. Give her a smile. And after that, greet the male members. I hope I'm clear to you. This you must practice at home, because without practice, in the moment of crisis, you are liable to make mistakes. Individual salutation must be avoided. Coming to the questions, I might like to mention that, as in the case of prelims and main examinations, there is no syllabus laid down for the interviews. There is no syllabus anywhere. The syllabus is as high as the sky. So the board is free to ask you any questions under the sun, which you may know, which you may not know. They can ask you anything. It is their prerogative. They can ask you. And if you don't know the answers to your questions, just say, I'm sorry, sir, I do not know the answer. Declare your inability, but don't feel apologetic about it. Please keep in mind that there are some misplaced perceptions in the minds of the candidates that if you are not able to answer some questions consecutively, say 3 or 4 questions, if you say, I'm sorry, sir, I do not know, I am sorry, I do not know, or just say, sorry, sir, nothing is going to happen. misimpression is being carried by some candidates that the more the number of questions you answer, the more marks you get, which is a very wrong impression. And when you start answering a question, you must ponder about the question also. You must be a good listener. Some people start answering something just the opposite of what has been asked, because they have not listened to the question carefully. So you have to be a very good listener. Listen to the question very carefully, devolve it in your mind, give a pause of 10 seconds or so, and recall the keywords that you must be using in the answers, and then formulate your answer during that short period. And then that pause is very important. If you should not be impulsive, that as soon as the question is over, you should start answering. It is a very wrong practice. You must give an impression to the board that you have thought about it and you are serious about your answers. I hope I am. Please don't bluff the board. Bluffing is something which irritates the board very much. No hoodwinking. Sometimes some candidates, in order to impress the board, give wrong answers without knowing that it is wrong answers. They give some answers if they are not sure. It is better not to give an answer. No answer is better than a wrong answer. So bluffing is something which UPSC hates. I must tell you, at the cost of repetition, don't try to outsmart the board. Don't try to bluff the board. I know of certain cases when I was working in UPSC, some pressure was brought on the board by a candidate. It's a very unfortunate thing. Please, UPSC is a very fair body. It's a just body, and it doesn't believe in pressures and pulls. Please don't try that trick. There was some phone call to the chairperson from someone, and the chairperson was so honest that he left the board and left it to the other members to go ahead. There have been other cases also when UPSC has been changing the chairperson of the board. If there is pressure on anyone, then there has been cases during my time when the chairpersons of the board have been changed. The board also has been changed completely. If you are earmarked for board number 5, and if there is a pressure, even there is a whisper of any pressure from any corner, then the candidate is removed from that board and asked to appear before another board. So please don't try to bring pressure on anybody. It is something unethical which you must avoid at any cost. You see, the most important, as I stated, the number of questions that you answer is not very important. As how effectively you answer the questions is more important. I know of a case when I was in UPSC. I know of a case in which the candidate repeatedly regretted his inability to answer questions. And then the board says, okay, you are not able to answer these questions. Tell us something about yourself. Tell anything, whatever you know about yourself, about your family, about your educational. And the candidate came out so wonderfully that he was in. So it is not that you answer something and then only you can be taken. There may be occasions when, because nobody knows, it is humanly impossible for anybody to answer, to know everything. Even the board will not be knowing many things. There are so many things which you may not be knowing, the board may be knowing. There may be many occasions in board doesn't know many things which you know. So don't prejudge yourselves. Don't self-estimate your performance on the basis of your inability to answer your questions, but concentrate, focus on giving effective answers. How effectively, logically, confidently you articulate your views. We never interject the board. Supposing a member has asked you a question and you are in the process of answering that question to the board, then another member stepped in. He also starts asking you questions while you are still in the process of replying to the questions asked by the previous member. This is a part of interview, and you must know that all this exercise is being carried out just to confuse you, just to see your confidence level, whether you are getting nervous. In such a situation, if another member asks you a questions when you are still in the process of answering question of the previous member, please ask the new member, the second member, sir, may I complete the answer first? He will certainly say, yes, yes, certainly you complete that. When you complete the answer of the first member, then come over to the second member. Answer his questions. And if you don't know the answers, please say, I'm sorry, sir, I do not know about it. There have been occasions I have seen in UPSC when the candidates keep on thinking about the questions, whether to answer like this or what to answer. They keep the board waiting for as long as 1 minute. They don't speak of anything. So I don't know what kind of signal they are giving to the board. Such a situation is very dangerous. Think about a question for 10 seconds, 12 seconds, 10 seconds, 12 seconds. And then if you are able to answer it. And if you need some more times, then please seek the permission of the board. Sir, may I take a little more time? And if you are able to make up your mind, then please answer it. And even after the extended time that you have been given by the board, you are not able to answer the questions, again, you regret your inability. I'm sorry, sir, I do not know the answers. Please never give a wrong answers. Never give an answer of which you are not sure. It is a bad habit. There are etiquettes which you must follow. These are all I have been telling you, whatever I have been telling you, these are all interview etiquettes. I should say personality test etiquettes, which you must keep in mind, and practice will make it perfect. Join an institute which has got a very competent board which can give you good feedback. Don't go to the institutes, coaching institutes, for collecting the questions. As I stated in the beginning, the number of questions is not important. How effectively, how confidently you answer is more important. So whenever any feedback is given to you by the board, by the mock interview board, please take a note of it and then try to remove all those shortcomings. You have to be very natural, no affected style, whenever you enter the board, you have to be very natural in your mannerism. Don't be under any, don't feel threatened by the board. And pause is very important. As I stated a little while back, giving pause before answering a question is very, very important. This is an impression which you have to give to the board that you are very seriously thinking about the questions and you are trying to frame your answers accordingly. So pause is very important. Don't be very keen to answer the questions immediately as soon as the question is over. Voice modulation also is very, very important. You must, it's voice, you have to keep modulating. Sometimes speak slow, sometimes speak fast, but not too fast. Whenever some candidates have a habit of speaking very fast, which is very wrong, because people on the other side of the board are all old people. They don't have uh, fast reflexes. I'm saying so in a very lighter wing. They're all experienced people, and if you speak fast, it will go against you. Your speech clarity becomes a victim, and once your speech clarity is lost, then everything is lost. Your pronunciation should be very clear. Your don't use, as I said, literary kind of English or Hindi or any other language. Use spoken language that is appreciated by the board. And no wild guesses. Avoid making wild guesses. If you are not sure of an answer, seek the permission of the board. Sir, I am not too sure about my answer, but if you permit me, I can make an attempt. If they say yes, you can make an attempt, then say so. Coming to other specific points which I would like you to keep in mind. I have already mentioned about your health. Your health is most important. You must have a full 8 to 9 hours sleep the night before. If you are not, if you don't have a good sleep before the day of the interview, you will be a flop. It will be a flop show. So please have a sound sleep, and different boards are there. They have their own proclivities. They have their own subjectivities. Subjectivities is bound to creep in. So you must have a sound sleep, and it must attention to the questions asked, and you will have to frame your answers by these doubts. And ladies also should not use fragrance. This gives a, and your hair should be properly tied in the form of a ponytail or a bun. Never have loose hair. Never have loose hairs. I have a lot of instances, but I can't share it in public domain. Some ladies are very fond of, letting their hair flow freely, like this. This is a very bad thing. That shows the extent of seriousness you are attaching to the interview. It should be properly tied. Don't speak with your hands. That's very important. Don't speak, never ever. Some people say like this, just to emphasize their point. It's a force of habit, you can't help it sometimes. Please avoid it. Speaking with hand is very, very unfortunate. It is not proper. Leave such things only to the politicians or public speakers, because they normally move their hands when they are doing public speaking or when they are. So that leave it to them, but don't. But keep, as I told you in the beginning, your hand should be kept on your lap. And another point which I forgot to mention is about your eye contact with the board. Eye contact when you are in the process of answering questions. Don't fix your eye contact to only one person who has asked the questions. Keep your eye contact rotating like this. Look at other members also. Involve them in the interview process. Don't ignore them. So I think eye contact is very important. Please keep looking at others, everybody, and 70% you should look at the person who has asked the questions. There may be a lot of interjections by other members also. Don't get confused. Don't get nervous. It's a try to confuse you by the board. They are judging your capacity to tolerance, whether you can tolerate such nonsense or not. So they are judging you for everything, whether, because it's the scanning of the total personality. It's not a. I think I have been given a signal. The time, my time is up. Now I would request if there is any questions from your side, feel free to answer any. Ask me any questions. I'll be too happy to.
Thank you, sir, for giving such a vast, detailed, and minute details of interview process, and so many, tips and tricks you have given. So many things. There are, sir, many questions of our students. On behalf of them, I would like to ask a few questions. The first is, should a student should go for precise answering or the detailed answering for a particular question?
Well, I would say that answer should be very short. But if the board expects you to give elaborate answers, to elaborate further on that, you should not fight shy of it. Elaborate your answers accordingly, but don't give monosyllabic answers also. Yes, no, yes, sir, yes, sir. No, this is not possible. Give proper answers, but not too long and not too short either. I leave it to your good judgment, because some people, they go on answering the questions non-stop for 2-3 minutes, and they don't catch a signal from the board chairperson or board members that we are satisfied. Stop at that. They don't notice that signal from the board. So it should neither be too long nor too short.
Okay. So it is said that a few boards are very tough and others are relaxed in giving marks and asking questions. Is it possible for a student to choose their own board, UPSC board, for their interview?
It's a very easy question. It's a very tricky question. I don't know how to answer it. Candidates do not have the freedom to choose their own boards. The purpose is very clear, because they can't choose the people who are supposed to judge their personality. So I am telling you out of experience, till the candidate comes to the central hall or the waiting hall, he is not aware. Even the board is not aware who and who are coming in the forenoon sections and who are coming in the afternoon sections. Everything is sealed. If the chairperson of the UPSC doesn't know, nobody knows about it. I have been doing the job myself, so it is not possible to.
Okay, it's clear, sir. It's clear, very clear, sir. Yeah. But sir, few boards are very.
One thing. Sorry.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Jha. It is definitely true that some boards are considered tough, while others boards are considered very relaxed and easygoing, and they are they are not frugal in giving marks. This is a fact of life. Let us confess it. I would also confess it before you. It's a matter of your luck, I would say, and because it's a very, the number in the case of main examinations also, or even in prelims, there is something called moderation or scaling. You can't have moderation in the case of interviews because the number is so small. It is not statistically viable. So you can't carry out any moderation. But there is an inbuilt system. I had introduced the system myself, and the system was self-regulations. We can't tell the board that please you are going too fast, or you are being very frugal in giving marks. We inform them. We inform them that this is the situation in this board and this is the situation in your board. Please control yourself. Neither be objective, but still there is some, because every board has its own proclivity and its own subjectivity, so we can't help beyond certain age.
So it is said that a few boards are very tough and they give very tight answer, tight award. Only 130 marks, 140 marks in that board. Generally students get. And how students can deal with such boards?
Please be a little more clarify the question.
Since few boards are very tough in giving marks, right? Very tight markings. how students can deal with such boards, sir, when they knew that.
Candidate is not expected to handle the board.
Right.
It is for the board to handle these candidates.
Candidate.
But candidate has to remain confident all through. He should not lose his calm. He should be very confident of himself, not overconfident, and he should be a normal person. If you carry the, for instance, sometimes it so happens, one short interjections. Some people, okay, I'll take it up later. You can follow the next question.
Yeah, the next question is, sir, there are normal things that students face nervousness before going to interview. How can students deal with this nervousness? How can face this challenge?
You see, nervousness is a very good thing. It's a very natural thing also.
Right.
So don't, you are not exceptional that you are getting nervous. When I appeared for the interview in UPSC, I was so nervous. I never appeared. I appeared for the board, in the board for the first time ever in my life. I never appeared in any interview, except in the case of IIT. So one has to be well read. You have to build up your confidence. Have a night's sleep. Again, at the cost of repetition, I'm saying you must have a very sound sleep the night before. It's very, very important. Nobody tells you all this thing. Night sleep, 8 to 9 hours, is very important. Keep your calm. And although, I can understand your, fear of the unknown, that what will happen in case I am not selected. It happens. It is very natural query which keeps bugging your mind. So one should be very calm and quiet. This is not the end of the life, and you will have. If you are not able to make it this time, learn from your mistakes and do better next time. There are so many times you can appear, and still there are many candidates I know of, and they made it in the final. After 6 or 7 stage, they got into the civil services. There have been such cases. There are exceptional cases where the candidate has made it in the very first attempt itself. So, nervousness has to be avoided. It is in your hand. And as I said, please keep yourself fully oxygenated, and because nervousness means your dryness in the mouth is something you must avoid. It's must avoid. Take as much water as possible before going into the chamber. Take as much water as possible, and they are really, I will tell you, you will realize within 40 seconds that the board is very nice, and they are very, very cooperative. Boards are very, very cooperative. They will behave with you with full dignity. They will protect your dignity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving such a detailed, minute, observation for UPSC personality test preparations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shah, and thank you, Zareen, for giving me an opportunity to interact with my friends. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's a lovely pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Zareen.
So guys, this was the webinar of the day. I hope you all have learned it. Thank you so much, Vijay sir. I hope we have you next time also. Thank you, Saxena sir, for your lovely advice. I mean, बहुत important points हैं जो आपने बताए हैं. I hope जितने भी हमारे viewers हैं, सब ने उसको ध्यान से सुना होगा और उसको execute भी करेंगे. Thank you and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.